So in this lecture, we'll talk about introduction to data communication and network. I will just highlight the most important point in the lecture. I'll not go very deeply because we already discussed it in synchronous meeting last week. Okay. So we know that data communication and networking have changed the lives. Now life become very easy. We can communicate with anybody at any time using this. Okay, so communities in the world are not isolated anymore. So you can communicate with anybody, anywhere, as I said earlier. When we communicate, it means we are basically sharing what? Information. So you are communicate with somebody, you talk with somebody. You are doing nothing but you are sharing information, sharing your experience, and so on. Sharing can be local or remote. You can share with locally or remotely عن بعد. Okay. So sharing تبادل المعلومات ممكن يكون داخلي أو ممكن يكون عن بعد. The word data شو يعني data؟ شو معنى كلمة data؟ refers to information presented in whatever form is agreed upon by the parties creating and using the data. Okay, so data is information. Okay, how this data or information is presented كيف نعرض هذه المعلومة using forms agreed upon. We agree, I agree with the other receiver that we will use, for example, picture, or we use text, and so on. Okay, parties means the sender and receiver. So data is information presented in a form which is agreed upon by the parties creating and using the data. It means that when we communicate or when we send data, it means we are sending information. This information is sent between the sender and receiver, the parties we call it. And we agree on the format. I send you a video, or I send you a picture, or I send you a text, and so on. Data communication are the exchange of data between two devices. What is communication now? تواصل is the exchange تبادل of data between two devices. Two devices may be two computers, which is the computer that the user is using to send, or the computer the user is receiving from, or mobile phones, or any device. Okay, so data communication are the exchange تبادل of data between the two devices, the sender and receiver. How they exchange? What is the method how they are connected? Through transmission media. So here we have keywords. Okay, so I have two devices, sender and receiver, and I have media, the method in which the computers or the devices are connected through, whether cables, whether Wi-Fi, and so on. The effectiveness of data communication depends on delivery. Now, how to evaluate the effectiveness? How good is the communication? You are calling somebody, okay, and that person is not in a good place to receive the phone call. For example, that person is driving and he passed through mountains and the call keeps stopping from time to time. Okay, you think, is it effective? Is it good communication? No, because you keep asking him to repeat again and again. So this communication is not effective. Now, how can I evaluate the effectiveness? كيف ممكن أقيس أداء الاتصال, whether it's good, strong, or bad? It depends on three parameters, three things: the delivery ratio, whether the message or the call or the voice or whatsoever is received, the accuracy, اللي هي الدقة, and timeliness, whether they receive it directly on time or jitter with some delay. Okay, so this is it. Now here we know what's communication, the importance of communication. We know what's data and what's information. We know what's data communication and how to evaluate the effectiveness of communication. خلاص هذه المصطلحات I need you to take your time and remember these things. What does data mean? What does data communication mean? And how to evaluate the effectiveness of data communication. Okay, data communication systems. What are the components? شو هي مكونات الداتا communication system؟ عندي sender مرسل. I have receiver. So you are calling Alice is calling Bob. Okay, Alice is calling Bob. So here Alice is the sender. She wants to send something, and Bob is the receiver. He will get the message. So she will send message رسالة to the receiver. Okay, how they send it? They need some connection between the sender and receiver. We call it medium or media. Okay, they use some media. Here you see cable between the sender and receiver. They use wireless, but there is some medium to connect the sender and receiver. Now, imagine that Alice is speaking Arabic only, and Bob is speaking English. How they communicate? Different languages. They need to translate. Okay? So they will not understand until there is translation. Same thing with computer. We need something called protocol. Protocol means we need to have same language. They need to understand each other. So here we have 5 components. What are they? What are these components? شو هي مكونات data communication؟ فعندي sender number 1, receiver number 2, message number 3, medium number 4, and protocol, which is number 5. So remember this. Okay, 5 components of data communication system. So now let's discuss this in depth. So I have message, which is the data or the information we are trying to send. الرسالة ممكن تكون معلومة. This message can be a text. ممكن يكون نص. ممكن يكون number, picture, audio or video. الرسالة اللي أرسلها ممكن تكون نص ممكن فيديو. Different data formats. Okay. Sender اللي هي المرسل. Device that send means يرسل. Data message. Sender المرسل ممكن يكون computer, workstation, telephone, video camera and so on. Receiver اللي هو المستقبل. It's the device that receives يستقبل الرسالة. It can be also a computer, workstation, telephone, television and so on. Transmission medium or transmission media وسيلة الاتصال connection is the physical path المسار الفعلي by which a message travels from sender to receiver. We have different types like cable, twisted pair cable, coaxial cable, fiber optic cable, or radio waves if we are using wireless connection. So it can be cable or radio waves in case of Wi-Fi. This is transmission medium. And the last one is the protocol. It's the set of rules مجموعة القواعد that govern, that control data communication. Set of rules that control the data communication. It's an agreement, اتفاق, between the communicating devices, which language we will use, so they will agree. Sender and receiver will agree on the protocol to be used. The method they will communicate. So we have these 5 components: message, sender, receiver, transmission media, and protocol. Now we talk about the data representation, how I present the data. What is the method of presenting the information we want to send? So it can be text, numbers, images, audio, sound, or video. Text, it's bits, ones and zeros, sequence of them, okay? Some format, we can use ASCII or other formats, okay, to represent the text. Numbers, they are also bits. These bits, like ones and zeros, will be converted to binary format, which is so the bits, the numbers, will be presented in binary. You have studied what's binary in courses like maths and other courses. Images, we know how an image look like. It's pixels, dots, collected together to make a picture. So the picture is, if you zoom, make the picture very, very big, you will see dots. These dots are called pixels. So big image is set of matrix of pixels اللي هي مصفوفة من البيكسلز. الأوديو, it can be recording or broadcast, sound, music. Video also, picture or movie. So these are the 5 data representations. اوكي نروح لنقطة جدا مهمة اللي هي الداتا فلو، انتقال البيانات من المرسل إلى المستقبل والعكس. Data flow is the direction of sending the data between the sender and receiver. So you can see here 3 pictures, which mean we have 3 types of data communication. Okay, so I have simplex, full duplex, sorry, half duplex and full duplex. Simplex, from the picture, if you try to make difference between them. Simplex, simple, one direction only. So the sender will send and the receiver only listen. We don't talk, just listen. Okay? This is like you send data from computer or mainframe to monitor للشاشة. بتنعرض معلومات في الشاشة. The monitor here doesn't talk, so just one direction. Half duplex means I have 2 stations, one sending or it's receiving, but not at the same direction as we see here. We will discuss, okay? So simplex means unidirectional. Uni means, what's uni? Uni means one direction. So here the data goes in one direction only. اتجاه واحد فقط. البيانات تسري في اتجاه واحد فقط. Only one of the 2 devices on a link can transmit, the other only receive. فهنا جهاز واحد يرسل معلومات والجهاز الثاني يستقبل فقط. The other device do not send, just receive, send, listen. Capacity of the channel to send data in one direction is used entirely. يعني في عندي هنا cable, wire or radio waves. This capacity of this wire is all taken by the sender, means the sender will use the whole cable capacity in order to send the data. Nobody is sharing the capacity with him. Okay, so the sender has the whole capacity. It's gone. Examples: keyboard. Keyboard only send data. Traditional monitor only receive. Okay, half duplex, both station, both host, both devices transmit and receive. They can transmit or they can receive, but not in the same time. They don't send and receive at the same time. So you talk and the other one is listening, or you listen and the other device is talking. Okay, not at the same time. Okay, you cannot talk, sender and receiver cannot talk at the same time. It's like in real life communication, one person is listening, the other is talking, and when the other one stop talking, you start talking. Okay, but so it means that not at the same time. Entire capacity of a channel is taken over by whichever of the two devices is transmitting at the time. It means that the one who is talking will take the entire capacity. The one who is talking, who is sending, will take the whole capacity of the link. No sharing. Example, walkie-talkie or citizen band radios. Okay. Full duplex. Both station can transmit and receive. نفس اللي هي الهاف duplex, similar to half duplex. They can send and you can also you can receive. You can transmit, send, or you can receive. But the difference is here simultaneously at the same time. You can talk and listen at the same time. Okay, so you can talk at the same time you are receiving something else. So it's shared capacity of the link. Shared capacity. The capacity now here is divided, is shared. Okay, so the sender is not using the whole capacity. No, he shared it with the receiver. So it's divided. The capacity is divided. مقسمة بين two directions. Example, telephone networks. In phone calls, you can send and receive at the same time. فهذه ثلاث أنواع اللي هي data flows. عندي السمبلكس والهاف دوبلكس والفول دوبلكس. الوحيدة اللي فيها sharing of capacity اللي هي هذه. This one, the sender or receiver, they use the entire capacity, and here they use the entire capacity. Okay. الحين ناخذ مقدمة بسيطة وسريعة في النتورك. Here we take short introduction about network. فلو سألناكم شو تعريف الشبكة? What is the definition of network? The first thing to say it's set of devices. It's a group of devices, multiple devices. It's not one device. This is the first thing. So a network is a set of devices. Set means group of devices, set of devices. We call it nodes. يعني الأجهزة في الشبكة ممكن نسميها nodes. Okay? Or hosts or devices. These devices cannot make a network unless they are connected. يعني هذه الأجهزة مربوطة مع بعض. Connected. Okay, عندي مجموعة أجهزة مربوطة مع بعض. How we connect them? Through links, by using links. Okay, so these networks are connected together through links, cables, through radio waves, but they are connected. Keywords here, a network is set of devices, group of devices, okay, connected together. They are connected together, linked together by some link. A node can be a computer, a printer, or any device capable of sending or receiving data generated by other nodes on the network. If I ask you to give me example of devices or nodes, devices that are connected, it can be computers, it can be printers, it can be communication devices like router, hub, switch, it can be a mobile phone, It can be a printer, scanner, fax. So anything that can send or receive, we call it device. Okay. So this is the first concept here, network. عرفنا شو يعني network. We here understand what's a network. Okay, so it's a set of devices connected together via communication media or links. هذا المصطلح الأول. المصطلح الثاني اللي مهم هنا اللي هي distributed processing. In a network we have like big networks, we have thousands of computers connected together. Okay, who is controlling all these devices? If we just rely on one computer to control all the interaction, the connections, the communication, the network will be very slow. إذا عندي جهاز واحد فقط يتحكم في كل العمليات في الشبكة بتكون الشبكة جدا بطيئة وضعيفة. It shouldn't be task of one computer. The processing shouldn't be task of single computer. Otherwise, the network will be very weak, very slow. So how we do the processing? We distribute it. Distribute means divide it between multiple machines. Divide. Distributed processing يعني معالجة البيانات بيكون موزع. It's not one single machine, no. So most network use distributed processing, in which a task is divided among multiple computers. هذه جدا مهمة. شو يعني distributed processing? If I have a task, I divide this task between many computers. We don't have one large machine that's responsible for everything, no. But what we have here, we have a task. I have a task. I divide it between multiple computers in order to make it easier, faster, and so on. Okay, الحين نروح إلى types of network architecture. عندي this is very important. What type of network architecture we have? Okay, the first one, number one, is called peer-to-peer network, and the other one is called client-server network. What's the difference between them? This one, this machine, we call it server. شو الفرق بين ال peer-to-peer network وال client-server network? This one, the server. The client server have something called server. So I have the same things. I have computers client connected with a printer here. I have printer and devices. But the main difference here, I have server, the one that is controller of a network. But in peer-to-peer, no, I have multiple computers. They are connected together at the same time. So each computer is linked to the other computer and printer. Server is like the university network. So I have server that's controlling all the devices, all the nodes. So what's the advantages and disadvantages of peer-to-peer network? Peer-to-peer network is easy to install and configure. When you have a meeting with your friends, you want to do assignment, you just gather your computers, 5 computers together, connect them directly. So it's very fast, no need for special equipment or so on. Just you bring the computers, you make a network between these computers and done, easy. So it's easy to install and configure. No dedicated server, we don't have server. Dedicated يعني مخصص, ما عندي server مخصص. User control their own shared resources. Users control their resources, like their files, who access the files, which file to access, and so on. It's inexpensive to purchase and operate, very easy. No need to buy special equipment, cables, and so on. No dedicated administrator. No need for administrators to control the computers. The users control their own network. It's only good for 10 computers and less. if I bring, it's not suitable for big networks, okay? So maximum 10 computers, it will work properly. Bigger, no, it will not work. Disadvantage, single resource at a time. Users have many passwords to access each and every resource, so you will need to remember many passwords. Individual backup to protect all shared resources. If somebody destroys the shared folder, it means you cannot access it in future. It's not controlled. Performance of the machine reduces every time a user access. When you access, advantage of peer-to-peer networking is all related to security and complexity. Okay, so security applies to only a single resource at a time. You need to remember many passwords and only individual backup to protect all shared data. So backup is also a difficulty. Performance of machine reduced every time a user access. The more users, the slower the network will be. That's why they specify at maximum 10 users or 10 computers. No centralized control access to data. There is no server or something to control the access to the resources. Okay, there is no administrator to control everything. No, the users control the things. It doesn't work well with more than 10 computers or 10 users. Now the advantages and disadvantages of the client-server networking. If you see the picture here, we have the server, which is the controlling machine, and we have the clients. So the server serves all these computers and printers. So centralized user account, security, and access control. You notice when you access to the university network, you just need to log in, username, password, and then you can access. Who controls this access to the network? The server. Okay, so the server provides centralized access, control, centralized security, centralized user accounts. يعني التحكم مركزي بحسابات المستخدمين، بالسكيورتي، بالاكسس كنترول، التحكم بالدخول. مين اللي يتحكم فيهم؟ السيرفر. Server hardware is more robust with fault tolerance and redundant systems. طبعا I have server which is controlling the network. ممكن يكون عندي أكثر من server. Maybe I have more than one server doing the same task. If one server have problem, then the other one will take control. So to make it more robust, to make it more secure, to make it more better, we can use more than one server to do the same task. We call it redundancy. We have only single password to network login. Make sense of network for network with 10 or more users. طبعا هنا we might have more than 10 computers. You can see the university, how many computers we have. They are all in one network. So 10 or even more computers will be fine. And it's suitable for big network, for large networks. Disadvantage, if I have one server and that server failed, corrupted, have problem, then the whole network will be unusable. If something happened in the server, the entire network will not be usable. Require expert, تحتاج إلى خبير to manage the server, administrator we call it. Dedicated hardware and software. So you have to buy special hardware and special software. For example, you need to buy special server or operating system, نظام تشغيل للسيرفر. You need to have special software to control the network. You need to have special devices like hub or switch or router or server to control the network. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of client-server networking. Now we divide the network categories of network. I have LAN, WAN, and MAN. LAN. So in categories of network, I have 3 of them: LAN, MAN, and WAN. LAN stands for Local Area Network، شبكة محلية أو شبكة داخلية. الوايد area network شبكة واسعة النطاق. And MAN or metropolitan area network. Okay, so how I differentiate between them? Firstly, how big are they? How big area they can cover, and so on. So local area network LAN الشبكة المحلية privately owned and links the devices in a single office. It connects devices in a single office or single organization. Limited to fewer kilometers, few kilometers, يعني it only work within few kilometers. Designed to allow resources to be shared between the hosts. يعني هذه شبكة صغيرة محلية تستخدم داخل مؤسسة صغيرة، مثلا داخل مؤسسة مثال الجامعة، شبكة الجامعة لوكال محلية، من يدخل عليها؟ فقط المستخدمين من داخل الشبكة. الوايد اريا نتورك أو الشبكة الواسعة big network it's long distance transmission، يعني طويلة المدى very big of resources of data of image audio and audio information. Okay, it cover large geographic area. It cover large geographic area. It can be country أو continent. يعني هذه الشبكة تغطي لي مساحة ضخمة، ممكن تكون دولة أو ممكن تكون قارة كاملة. أوكي، فالوان for long distance for large geographic area. Okay, and usually created and run by communication company. طبعا مين يتحكم في هذه الشبكة؟ It's not owned by, it's not controlled by the organization itself. No, it's covered by communication companies. مثلا عمانتل in Oman. مين اللي يتحكم في الوان في عمان؟ عمانتل أو أوريدو أو فودافون and so on. Okay. المتروبوليتان اريا نتورك او المان it's in between، يعني في الوسط بين اللان والوان. it's يعني it's not so huge and it's not so small, it's in between. ومن اسمها متروبوليتان يعني city, so it covers city or town. فواضحة جدا اللان تستخدم الشبكات المحلية small network. الوان it covers the entire country or continent for large geographic area, and metropolitan area network or MAN it covers city or town. Okay, so which one covers city? MAN. Which one cover Oman? الوان. Which one cover Asia? one. Which one cover school or hospital? LAN. خلاص. So these are the categories of network. We have huge network called internet. Internet, if two or more networks are connected. Internet means, for example, I have this LAN, which is one network, and I have another LAN, which is this one. They are connected together. If I connect more than one network, okay, if I connect two networks or more, we call it internetwork or internet. So internet is more than one network connected together. نسميها internetwork. لما نربط أكثر من شبكة نسميها internetwork. An internet is a switched network in which connects at least two links together. It connects two networks together. A switch needs to forward data from another network when required. طبعا if you see here these two networks, you see these are in between. So any two networks connected together, we use R. It means that this is router. It's connecting the network. I can use a switch or router depending on type or nature of the network. So I can use a switch or router to connect these networks together. So an internet is a switched network in which connects at least two links together. A switch needs to forward data from another network when required. Okay, so I need the switch for communication between these two networks. طبعا switched networks عندي نوعين: circuit switched network والباكت switched network. circuit والباكت switched network. شو الفرق بين circuit switched network والباكت switched network؟ A circuit switch is a dedicated connection called circuit, always available between the two end system, like telephone network. You want to call somebody. First, you ring their number, you put their number, and then you call them. And there will be a connection between you and the receiver until you finish calling that person. هذه نسميها circuit. يعني like channel between the sender and user, and this circuit or this channel will be used until we finish the communication. Okay, so in order to connect, you need to have circuit first. Okay, and the other type which is used in the internet here is the packet switched. So you have message. This is your message. Okay, you want to send it on the internet like email or so on. This message will be divided to packets. Okay, packet 1, packet 2, packet 3. Okay, if the whole message is not sent as one piece. No, it's divided into packets, and these packets go through different ways. Okay, until it reach the destination. So they can go through different paths until it reaches the destination or the receiver. This is sender. So the sender send a message. It's divided into packets. These packets are routed different paths, go through different routes or different paths until it reaches the receiver or destination. So a packet switch network is a general computer network. The communication between two ends is done in blocks of data called packets. So we send packets, we receive packets. So the whole interaction is through packets. Packet switched networks are most efficient than circuit switched network. In the internet, we use this packet switched network. We don't use circuits very frequently. Okay, so packets are more common. Packet switched. So the internet is an internetwork. Any user can be part of it. You can be part of the internet. I can be part of the internet. Everybody who has internet can be part of it. It's a global network. Global, international, عالمية. You can access internet through telephone, using cable, using wireless, or direct communication, such as speed 1. Okay, so different methods to connect to the internet. الحين كيف أحكم على أداء أو فاعلية شبكة معين؟ How can I evaluate a network? What is the criteria? Criteria يعني معايير. شو هي المعايير اللي أحكم عليها على الشبكة؟ هل هذه الشبكة ممتازة؟ هل هذه الشبكة سيئة؟ So what are the criteria؟ عندي 3. performance اللي هو الأداء، reliability الموثوقية، security السرية. Performance, transit time, the amount of time required for a message to travel from one device to another. كيف أحكم على أداء الشبكة؟ رسلت رسالة من المرسل إلى المستقبل. إذا أخذت 10 ساعات الشبكة معناته بطيئة. إذا أخذ دقيقة أو دقيقتين معناته الشبكة is يعني relatively good. So we have transit time. شو يعني transit time؟ Amount of time required for a message to travel from one device. Response time is the elapsed time between an inquiry and response. You send a message until you receive the response, it means response time. You send message, you are waiting for response. When you get the response, you calculate the total time, it's the response time. طبعا شو اللي يحكم على البرفورمانس؟ what are the factors؟ العوامل. Number of users, how many users? Type of transmission media, what is the type of cable, when it's wired network or what, the radio waves. Capabilities of the connected hardware, the hardware, whether the hardware is good, fast enough or slow. Efficiency of the software، يعني شو اللي يحكم البرفورمانس الأداء؟ number of users، عدد المستخدمين، نوع transmission media، what type of transmission media might have, what type of hardware and what type of software. Networking metrics. In networking how I measure the performance، كيف ممكن أقيس الأداء الشبكة in terms of performance عن طريق throughput and delay. Throughput is the number of successfully received message والdelay اللي هو how much time the message will be delayed until it reach the destination. Okay, the second criteria is reliability. It's measured by the frequency of failure، موثوقية الشبكة. Frequency of failure. If you try to send many times and it doesn't succeed, it doesn't go successfully, then the network is bad. If you send and there is less failure, then it's good. Time it takes a link to recover from a failure. If the cable is disconnected, okay, this is cable, it's disconnected, how much time it needs to take until again it's connected. Okay, so the time it takes for a link to recover from a failure. Network robustness in a catastrophe. Catastrophe اللي هي disaster. Something bad happened, like there is earthquake, زلزال, or there is fire. How much it take until it recover back again? How much? For example, whether it can withstand these disasters. In case of flood, for example, whether the network can still be active in case of flood. The last one is security, الأمن. Protecting data from unauthorized access، حماية البيانات من الدخول غير المصرح به. Protecting data from damage and development. We protect data from change, from corruption, or from change. Implementing policies, سياسات, procedures, إجراءات for recovery from breaches. Like for example, if something bad happened, there is an attacker attack the network. What are the policies that control this, or what are the procedures to be done in case some breaches, some attacks happen? And data loss، فقد البيانات. Okay, the last point in this lecture is standards. سياسات. طبعا سياسات ضروري جدا في التحكم في الشبكات. Because we have different people from different places, different computers, different equipment. We need to manage all these different things in order to allow successful communication. So standards are essential in creating and maintaining an open and competitive market for equipment manufacturer and guaranteeing national and international interoperability of data and telecommunication technologies. Standards are essential, they are very important to create and maintain competitive business. For example, you have different computers. We have Dell, we have HP, we have Mac computers. They are different. But we need to make sure that these three computers can communicate together. Okay? Even we have different manufacturers, we need to make sure that they can communicate. Like for example, mobile phones. I have Huawei, I have Samsung, I have iPhone. These are different from different manufacturers, but I need to share to make sure that people using Huawei can still call people with iPhone. People with iPhone can communicate with people using Samsung and so on. So this is the importance of standards. So standards provide guidelines for manufacturers. These guidelines are for the manufacturers and other service providers to ensure the kind of interconnectivity necessary in today's marketplace. So standards are important to make sure that different manufacturers, different vendors can still interconnect with others. Standards de facto, de jure. Standards by fact or by laws. عندي نوعين من standards, by fact and by law. De facto standards that have not been approved by an organized body but have been adopted as standard through widespread use are de facto standards. So they are not made by organizations. هذه القوانين ما وضعت عن طريق مؤسسات أو هيئات. But it's widespread. لكن هذه كأنها مسلمات. عارفين المسلمات؟ يعني أشياء اتفقنا عليها بدون ما نحتاج مؤسسة تتحكم. Something we agreed on, adopted through widespread use. Okay. De jure, those standards have been legalized by an officially organized body. This is created by organizations. فهذا الفرق. This is made by organizations, by organized bodies, but this one are widely spread. No need for organization to make them. فعندي الإنترنت standard. An internet standard is a thoroughly tested specification. And it's a 6-month lifetime. It has to be updated from time to time. Usually, these standards are drafts, and it's published as requested for comment. يعني it's published and it's updated from time to time. طبعا internet standard that we cannot create one forever. No, because the internet is growing, it's becoming bigger, it's changing, devices are changing, hardware is changing, software is changing. So I cannot adopt one standard forever. No, it's changing. Reserved for, requested for comments. طبعا عندي أكثر من organization or standard organization. I have ISO, ITU-T, ANSI, IEEE, EIA. You have to remember, for example, IEEE is very common. ISO is for everything, not only for computer, it's for other products. So this was lecture 1. I hope you understand the most basic ideas of it. So in this lecture, we talk about data communication. We understand what's data and what's data communication. We know the 5 components of data communication, which is sender, receiver, medium, protocol, and what's else? Message. We know the data format here: text, number, image, audio, and video. We understand the difference between simplex, half duplex, and full duplex communication, and so on. So I hope this was clear. If you have any question, please feel free to communicate with me using email or in Blackboard, and I would prefer Blackboard discussion for every lecture. So in case you don't understand anything, please communicate with me, or you can also ask me on Microsoft meeting, whenever we have a meeting. This is Aisha Al-Hinai from University of Technology and Applied Sciences. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in lecture 2. Thank you.